Hello, welcome to Salt and Light Canning. I'm Jessica, and this is my kitchen. And today, I'm not canning. I want to be able to show you different kinds of food preservation. And I've said it before, but how I started out with food preservation was actually dehydrating. Just canning was way too intimidating for me, and I was uncomfortable doing it, so I started out with dehydrating. And I still enjoy it, and I love my dehydrator, and it's a wonderful way to get things put away for long-term storage. So such a blessing. But today we are making some beef jerky. I don't know if you've seen the price of beef jerky in the store. It's very, very expensive. And I would much rather spend the price that I paid for meat to make beef jerky than to spend the price in the store, especially when I'm not entirely sure what goes into that jerky in the store. So here I have a couple of roasts, and we're going to do two different kinds of marinades. The first one will be my cowboy candy brine. Remember, if you watch my cowboy candy video, you know I said save your brine, save your brine. Use it as a marinade, and it's delicious. And then the other one we're going to mix up really quick. We're going to start with liquid aminos, or you could use soy sauce, it works the same. Some brown sugar. We'll do one more. Just eyeball it. Ends up being about equal parts brown sugar and liquid aminos. Then I'm going to add some garlic powder. We'll do one more. Some smoked paprika. About that much. Smoked paprika is kind of a strong spice. We'll give this a good stir. And that smells delicious. So I'm going to start putting our meat in a couple of bags so that it can soak. And we're going to let it soak at least 24 hours. Probably 48, but at least 24 hours. And if you're seeing my husband Mike cut off the fat, don't worry. We're going to cook that up, and our doggies are going to have some wonderful treats. All of this is just going to be super delicious. What kinds of jerky do you like? Do you like it spicy? Do you like it sweet? What's your preference? And these knives are just wonderful. We'll leave a link in our Amazon store. They're from Rada, and I really like them. It was a gift from my wonderful husband for Christmas, and they have been a blessing. So when you're making jerky, you do want to try and get as much of the fat off as you can. And also we're doing slightly bigger pieces because we want it to be a little bit tender. But it's personal preference. If you prefer super thin pieces and super crunchy jerky, when you're in your kitchen and you're making stuff, you get to make it your way. But don't be intimidated by dehydrating meat. The worst that can happen is you have dog treats instead of human treats, okay? Don't be afraid. What kinds of ways do you like to preserve food? Let me know in the comments. Or if you have an amazing recipe that you follow, let me know. I'm sure we would love to try it. We'll get this in the bag. So I've got my meat in the bag. I'm going to add my marinade to the bag. Get all that yummy goodness in the bag. Okay. Push out some of the air. And we'll get this sealed up. If you don't have a bag, of course you can just put this in a covered bowl and let it sit, and that's fine. You're gonna kind of mush it up all over the place. Make sure everything is really well coated and mushed. And we'll set this aside and we'll start getting our next bag going. So in this one, we're gonna do our cowboy candy brine. If you're wondering what that is, it's leftover brine from making cowboy candy. It's candied jalapenos, and it's delicious. So this one will probably be a little spicy sweet, but I think it's gonna be wonderful. Get that kind of mixed up. All right, what we're gonna do is we will let these sit and marinate for at least 24 hours. And if you're wondering what Michael's doing, he's cooking the dog's dinner. And we'll be back in about 24 hours and we'll put them on the dehydrator. So we'll see you, well, it'll be tomorrow for us, but it will just be like a second for you. Hello. Well, I'm back. It has actually been a couple of days and I'm going to put the meat on the dehydrator. Now I have an Excalibur dehydrator and it has like 9 trays. You can fit a lot of food on this dehydrator, but you don't have to have a fancy dehydrator. I had one of those little circle ones with the stacked trays, and you just, shuffled the trays in between and it did just fine. But there's also lots of ways that you can dehydrate food that is not with a dehydrator. You can just have a screen and dry food out in the sun. Or sometimes your oven has a setting for drying food. But I have an Excalibur, and so check out the link in the description for my Amazon store. We will have a section there for dehydrating food. But anyway, all I'm gonna do, because this is gonna be messy, I have a cutting board underneath, and I'm just gonna put the meat on the trays. And just, spread it out so that they're not on top of one another. It doesn't have to be super precise, just on the trays. And I know for my dehydrator, I know I can fit about 14 pounds of frozen vegetables on there, so you can fit a lot. I highly, highly recommend the Excalibur dehydrator. You can even buy them used, and they're still great. So highly recommend them. But like I said, it doesn't have to be fancy or expensive to preserve food. There's lots and lots of ways to dehydrate food. Now personally, since I have 2 different kinds of brine here, I'm gonna do the sweet one on the top trays and the spicy one on the bottom trays, so that way my spicy seasoning doesn't drip onto my sweet jerky. However, you can do it however you want. It's your jerky, it's your dehydrator, it's your house. Do it your way. All right. Get my tray kind of filled here, and then it just fits right in here, just like that. Now when they're all full, just put the door on, and there's a little knob in the back, and this has a temperature recommendation right on the knob to tell me how high I need to turn it up. And then I'll just check them and see when they're done. I want them to be dry. I don't want them to be super hard, but I do want them to be dry so that it actually preserves my meat. So we'll be back when we're taking them off the dehydrator. And we're back. I'm gonna take the jerky out of the dehydrator. Maybe I am. There we go. And we've tasted this and it's delicious. Highly recommend, if you have the opportunity, to make your own jerky. It is much cheaper than buying it at the store. And like I said, there are lots of ways to dehydrate food. I really love my Excalibur dehydrator. But there are lots of ways to store food. And you don't have to stress about things. Don't stress. And watch things that lift you up and encourage you. That's the teriyaki one. Let me see. This is some of the cowboy candy one. I'll take it out so you can see it too. Just delicious. We didn't dehydrate it so it's like super hard. We just dehydrated it so it's like soft jerky. You can dehydrate your jerky as much as you want to dehydrate your jerky. But it's just delicious. Now, if you didn't want to brine it, you could just cure it with salt and then dehydrate it. And that works fine too. And then you have an option to use it in other things. But anyway, I hope you give this a try. Check out my link below for my Amazon store. We have my dehydrator down there in the store. Be so blessed and don't be afraid, okay? I know with all the stuff going on, people get really afraid. Don't worry and don't be afraid. Be smart, be wise in planning your pantry and planning food for your family. But also, like, don't go crazy, you know, and put yourself in debt and not pay your bills because you're afraid you won't have food. Trust the Lord that you're going to have food and that He's going to take care of you. And in the meantime, be wise and do what He tells you to do. But anyway, be so blessed, know that you're loved, and be a blessing to someone else. We'll see you in the next video.